राधा विनोद बिहारी जू की जाय। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मरण मोहन जू की जाय। नित्य प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जाय। नित्य प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जाय। नित्य प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जाय। नित्य प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत शिशिमार भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जाय। नित्य प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत शिशिमार भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जाय। नित्य प्रविष्ट महाभागवत श्री गोक्षरस बाबाजी महाराज की जाय। नित्य प्रविष्ट श्री सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जाय। नित्य प्रविष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबाजी महाराज की जाय। श्री रूपानुग गौरीय गुरु वार्ग की जाय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल पतदास रघुनाथ शारद गोसाई प्रभु की जाय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जाय। नाम आचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जाय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जाय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदाति गिरिराज महाराज की जाय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जाय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जाय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जाय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जाय। श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जाय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जाय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जाय। श्री की जाय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जाय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जाय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। श्री कात्यायनी व्रत की जाय। सर्वव्रज देवी गान की जाय। ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। ॐ विश्वदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त नारायणी नामिने। ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिने नामिने। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। गुरवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकायै तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तरभक्ताय नमो नमः। या व्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यां द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सार्वभूत हृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदन्तस्तो ह्यभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतं। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति राधे त्वां नायमां चरणान्तिकम्। भक्त्या हीन अपराधलक्षाय क्षिप्ताष्टकामारङ्गमध्ये Kripa maitam sharanam prapana vrinde namaste charanarvindam. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Gargraj ji, Indira Mataji, Seshwari Mataji, Rukmini Didi, Prajumna Prabhu, and Mantramurti Mataji. Haribol, everybody. Happy Kartik, Prajumna Prabhu. Kartik's over. But yeah, I hope you had a wonderful Kartik also. Okay, so I'll just read the verses and then we will start. Shri Shukadev Goswami said, O king, hearing Bhagavan Shri Krishna's sweet words relieved the gopis of the last remnants of their distress of separation. All their desires were fulfilled when they received the touch of the limbs of their dearmost beloved, the abode of utmost beauty and sweetness. Those jewels of women, the gopis, whose hearts were fully focused on their beloved, linked their arms together and encircled Govinda, who joyfully inaugurated the playful Ras dance on the enchanting bank of the Yamuna. Shri Krishna's divine Raslila festival commenced, with thousands and thousands of gopis forming a circle around him. Bhagavan Shri Krishna, the master of mystic yogis, expanded himself and stood between every two gopis and embraced their necks with his arms. Each maiden felt that her beloved was standing next to her alone. The demigods were overcome with excitement to witness this festival and hurried there with their wives in their celestial airplanes, which soon filled up the sky. The divine battle drums from the heavenly planets started resounding, and flowers rained down as the Gandharvas and their wives sang Shri Krishna's splendid glories. As all the gopis started dancing with their beloved Sham in the Ras Mandal, the ringing of their armlets, ankle bells, and waist bells mixed together, creating a sweet sound that spread in all directions. In that rasa dance, Bhagavan Shri Krishna was shining in the midst of the Raj Sundaris like a dazzling blue sapphire, surrounded with beads. One second. Sorry, I was just looking for. The gopis sang Shri Krishna's nectarian pastimes very sweetly and danced with expert footwork that matched with their artistic and elegant hand gestures. They smilingly and arched their eyebrows, their waists bent dramatically, the veils coming the veils covering their breasts, their earrings swung on their cheeks, their faces perspired, and their braids and waists. As the boundlessly beautiful Braj maidens danced with their lover, they shone like golden streaks of lightning flashing in a bank of blue clouds. The gopis, excited to dally with their beloved, were singing sweet songs loudly with their beautiful voices and were dancing. As they drowned in bliss from getting the touch of Bhagavan Krishna, their singing reverberated throughout the entire entire universe. One gopi was singing her own melody that harmonized with Shri Krishna's singing, and then she sung in a pitch that rose above his. Hearing her excellent, unique voice, he became pleased and praised her. Very good, exceptional, sadhu, sadhu. Another gopi picked up the same melody, but sang in a different meter. Shri Krishna honored her also. And in the commentary, the first gopi, Śrīla Jiva Goswami said the first gopi was Vishaka Devi, and the second gopi was Lalita Devi. One gopi became tired while dancing with her beloved Shri Krishna, so she took hold of Murali Manohar's shoulder with her arm and rested against him as he was standing next to her. Her bracelets and the jasmine flowers in her braid had come loose. And this gopi was Vrishabhanunandini Srimati Radhika. Yes. It is understood that this gopi, who is situated in the center of the Ras Mandal, exhibiting the mood of Svāmī Bhartrika, the hero who controls her lover, is none other than Radhika. Let's just read this commentary of Viśvanātha Chakravartī Ṭhākura, and then we'll continue. After the dancing and singing of the prominent Sakis, Lalita and Vishaka, in this first start of Chidras, the narrator now portrays one principal fortunate Saki, Śrīdhara. This gopi, becoming extremely tired from dancing, with her right hand caught hold of the shoulder of Gada Shri Krishna, who is standing close by. Gada means one who understands and nourishes their warbling, or who appreciates the depth of the singing of the two Sakis, Lalita and Vishaka. The bracelets and jasmine flowers in her hair had come loose. In this way, the Swadhina Kanta Bhav of this Ramani is displayed. She is Vrishabhanu Kumari Shri Radhika, who controls her lover. Okay, let me just make sure everything's running okay. Haribo Sudevi Didi. Dandavat pranams. Okay, looks like it. Tatraikang sang bahum Krishna syot palasorabham Chandana lipta grahya Hristaroma chuchumbaha. Shri Krishna put his soft lotus hand on one gopi's shoulder. His hand naturally scented like a lotus, and now more fragrant, being smeared with sandalwood pulp. In response to his aromatic touch, that gopi thrilled with rapture. Her hairs stood on end as she quickly kissed his hand. Śrīla Samipad's Bhāvārtha Dīpikā, Utpala. That hand smells like a blue lotus. 1 second, I have some. Okay. Śrīla Jiva Gosvāmīpad's Vaiṣṇava Toṣaṇī. In this verse, Tatra, Sri Shukadeva Goswami is surely describing Shamala's joy-filled play, because what he is relating now is similar to what he described in verse 4 of the previous chapter, 32. This was Sri Krishna's hand, more fragrant than a lotus, which was resting on her shoulder. His arm had been smeared with sandalwood paste. Alipta means smeared with, begins with a long A, indicating that his arm was artistically anointed with different types of scented cosmetics. The word ha at the end of this verse means clearly. Being helpless in pain, her hairs stood on end, and she openly kissed his hand. According to another understanding, when that gopi's body exhibited extreme manipulation out of bliss, Then, indeed, her heart must have been filled with immeasurable joy. What else is there to say? Her heart was so elated that she kissed Krishna's hands without hesitation. This shows her boldness, her pragulbhata, one of the anubhav's ecstatic symptoms. According to scholars, when kissing and other amorous activities are performed without, what's this, reticence? Reticence? Reticence. I think that's reticence. The quality of being, that's helpful. Reserve. Okay, being reserved. So, according to scholars, when kissing and other amorous activities are performed without reticence at the time of union, this is called pragulbhata, boldness. Śrīla Viśvanātha Chakravartī Thakur's Sārārtha Darśinī. One gopi kissed Shri Krishna's hand resting on her shoulder. Shri Krishna's body, including his hands, is more fragrant than a lotus, and hence the sandalwood fragrance could not cover over his natural aroma. This cowherd maiden must surely be Shyamala, because her behavior is very similar to that of Sri Shyamala Saki described in verse 4 of chapter 32. Kasyaschin natyavikshipta kundala tvishamanditam gandam gande sandadhyatya pradhatam bulacharitam. Another gopi's earrings were swinging as if she was dancing, and the glitter of the earrings made her cheeks shine more. She pressed her cheek against Bhagavan Shri Krishna's cheek. Then he placed his chewed tambul in her mouth. Did I say tambul? Tambul. At Śrīla Samipad's Bhāvārtha Dīpikā, one gopi dancing very fast put her cheek, which was shining from her dangling earring, on Shri Krishna's glowing cheek. Śrīla Jīva Gosvāmīpad's Vaiṣṇava Toṣaṇī. The mood of the gopi mentioned in this verse is similar to that of Sri Shaibya, described in verse 5 in the previous chapter, who is accepting the chewed tambul in her joined palms. This verse surely relates Shaibya's joy-filled lay. Kasya chit, some gopi, on the pretext of being tired from dancing, put her cheek against Krishna's cheek. Here, pradat, offering, means that Krishna brought his mouth in front of this gopi's mouth, and with great affection he transferred his chewed tambul from his mouth into hers. And the word dat, the sixth position shashti, has been used to make it very confidential. Wow, this is getting very intimate. Śrīla Viśvanātha Chakravartī Thakur's Sārārtha Darśinī. 1 second. Some gopis' cheeks were decorated with the effulgence of her earrings, which were swaying as she danced. She touched her cheek to Krishna's cheek on the excuse of being tired. Shri Krishna brought his mouth close to hers, and with great honor, transferred his chewed tambul into her mouth. This gopi is similar to the cowherd maiden mentioned in the previous chapter, verse 5. So she is Shaibya. Nrityati gayati kachit kujanupurame khala parshvastachutahastabjam shantadhat stanayo shivam. As one gopi was dancing and singing, a sound emanated from the ringing of her ankle bells and the small bells on her waist belt. When she wearied, she put Achyuta's soothing lotus hand on her breast. Śrīla Śrīdhara Samipad's Bhāvārtha Dīpikā. One gopi's ankle and waist bells were ringing as she was dancing. Śrīla Jīva Gosvāmī Pad's Vaiṣṇava Toṣaṇī. In verse 4 of the previous chapter, the gopi who caught hold of Sri Krishna's right hand is Chandravali. She is also the subject of this verse, Nrityati, which describes her love-filled play. She started to sing and dance, and this caused her ankle bells and waist bells to chime in time with the rhythm of her dancing. Achyuta was standing next to her, and she kept his comforting lotus hand on her breast. There is a special purpose in using the name Achyuta in this verse because it means one who is situated next to this gopi without diverting his attention. Shri Krishna's hands are like lotuses because they can alleviate burning affliction. This is why this gopi kept his auspicious and comforting hand on her breast when she became extremely tired. In this way, these 6 verses have described the love dalliance of the 6 principal Sakis. The 7th Saki, Parma, displays almost the same symptoms as Chandravali, so her love play should also be understood to be very similar to hers. The 8th Saki, Bhadra, has been mentioned in Vishnu Puran. One gopi, especially expert in dancing, one gopi, this is from Vishnu Puran, one gopi, especially expert in singing Krishna's glories, started kissing Madhusudan's love-filled, inviting arms. Shri Jayadev has also confirmed this 8th Saki as Bhadra. In his statement, Shri Radhika, blinded by love, embraced Shri Krishna very tightly in front of the lovely maidens overwhelmed in the ecstasy of the Rasa dance. Bhadra's loving character and the playful actions she displayed in front of Radha are intimated. Srila Viśvanātha Cakravartī Thakur's Sārārtha Darśinī. One gopi went close to Shri Krishna and placed his hand on her breasts, and thus alleviated the heat generated from her strenuous dancing and singing. She is certainly Chandravali, since she is holding Krishna's lotus hand. Another Saki, Parma, is also known to take hold of his hands. Verse 5 of the previous chapter, chapter 32, mentions that one Saki kept Shri Krishna's lotus foot on her breast. But now she is keeping his lotus hand on her. But now she's keeping his lotus hands on her breast. In both these cases, the heat of the breast is extinguished. There is no special mention of the 8th Saki Bhadra, yet it should be understood that she is performing some special love play with Krishna. One second. Hare Krishna, Ganga Mataji. Gopyo labdva chutam kantam Shriya ekanta vallabham Grihita kantyastar dorabhyam Gayantyastam vijarire. As the gopis were singing and enjoying love play with their darling Achyuta, the infallible, the exclusive beloved of Lakshmi, the Achyuta, the infallible, he clasped them in a tight embrace with his arms around their necks. He clasped them in a tight embrace with his arms around their necks. Śrīla Śrīdhara Swamipad's Bhāvārtha Dīpikā. The present verse Gopyo describes the other gopis who are also performing rapturous love games. Śrīla Jīva Gosvāmī Pad's Vaiṣṇava Toṣaṇī. Achyuta. Achyuta Shri Krishna is dallying with so many gopis, yet the glories of his beauty, qualities, and nature remain consistent. They never undergo any deviation. To attain this Shri Krishna is the rarest of the rare, Ekanta Vallabha. He is the supermost lover and the object of prem, more than Sri Vaikunthanath, the exclusive master of Lakshmi Devi. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.16.36 affirms Shri Krishna as the object of Lakshmi Devi's love also. To achieve Krishna, she underwent severe austerities, but she could not attain him as her lover. Only the gopis were successful in this regard. Not only did they attain him, but he could not tolerate even a moment's separation from them, and he clasped their necks in a tight embrace. The gopis were blissfully singing Krishna's glories and frolicking with him. This shows the greatness of the Vraj Devis as compared to Lakshmi Devi. Sri Uddhav, having also experienced this, said in 10th Canto, chapter 47, verse 60, "At the time of Raslila, Bhagavan Shri Krishna held onto the necks of the Vraj Devis in a tight embrace and fulfilled their desires. The mercy he bestowed upon them was not received by his eternal consort Lakshmi Devi, who always resides on his chest, nor by the heavenly damsels, who are as fragrant as lotuses and dazzlingly beautiful. And what to speak of other women?" Srila Viśvanātha Cakravartī Thakur's Sārārtha Darśinī. Gopya. In this way, the principal gopis and all the others were enjoying playful love games with Krishna according to their own particular natures. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:16-36 says in the prayers of the Nagapatnis, the wives of the Kaliya serpent, Yad vanchaya shir lalana charatapa. Lakshmi Devi performed austerities with the desire to get the dust of Krishna's lotus feet, but did not succeed. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10:47-60, Uddhav says, Nayam Shriyonga Unitanta Rate Prasada. The favor received by the gopis was not attained by Lakshmi Devi. Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita relates a story from the Puranas. Lakshmi Devi was enamored by witnessing Krishna's beauty and performed penances to attain him, but could not. The beloved of Sri Narayan, Lakshmi Devi, desired Krishna's association, but this is impossible. In the explanation of the verse at hand, Kanta means extremely passionate, and Achyuta means that Krishna's glories remain intact even when he is dallying with so many gopis at the same time. Each of the gopis attains this extremely passionate, extremely beautiful beloved Shri Krishna as her own. He lovingly embraced each and every one of them with his arms. Achyuta held each gopi in his arms just as Sri Narayan clasped Lakshmi Devi to his chest. So Krishna is also Lakshmi Devi's beloved because Sri Narayan and Krishna are non-different in tattva. Karnotpalala kavitanka kapola gharma Vaktrashriyo valayanu pura ghoshavadhyay Gopya samam bhagavata nanritu swakesha Srasta srajo brahmaragaya karasa goshyam. The gopis' ears were embellished with lotuses. Their curly locks were swaying against their cheeks, and their lotus faces were sparkling with drops of perspiration. All of these enhanced their unprecedented beauty. Their anklets and bracelets were ringing out. And the flowers in their hair were falling down as they were dancing with Bhagavan Shri Krishna in the Ras Mandal. Bees hummed sweetly in tune with their singing. They were on tune with the singing. That's so interesting. So I wonder if the bees were kind of like drones in the background. Śrīla Śrīdhara Swāmīpad's Bhāvārtha Dīpikā. Many singers, drummers, and Gandharvas and Kinnaras, along with their wives, assembled together to celebrate the Rasa festival. Being intoxicated from the excitement of the gala event, all of them danced with great zeal. Gala? Is it gala? Like, what is it called? Met Gala? Met Gala? I don't even know what it's called. But okay, a social occasion with special entertainments or performances. Okay. This verse, starting with Karnotpala, describes the thrill of the Ras dance, augmented by the playing of many musical instruments. The gopis' ears. One second. The gopis' ears were embellished with lotuses, their curly locks swayed against their cheeks, and their lotus faces sparkled with drops of perspiration. All of these enhanced their unprecedented beauty. Their anklets, waist bells, and bracelets rang out, and the flowers in their hair fell down as they danced with Bhagavan Sri Krishna in the Ras Mandal. This indicates that their artistic hairdos, being happy with the singing and drumming, caused the gopis' heads to shake in rhythm with the music, and thus the flowers in their hair showered down on Krishna's feet. In this way, the cowherd maidens sang and danced with Krishna, and the bees sang along with them. Second. With the present verse, Karnotpala, we see that the glories of the Vraj Sundaris far outshine those of Lakshmi Devi. The lotuses on their ears, the curly locks on their cheeks, and the drops of perspiration on their faces created a beauty never seen before. Although the Vraj Devis were fatigued from dancing and singing, they were still shining brightly. The reason for this ecstatic dancing was that these cowherd damsels attained the association of Krishna in his most stunning, unparalleled form. These gopis are completely controlled by his love. The phrase Samam Bhagavata signifies that the gopis are also as adept as Krishna in amorous affairs. So it is to be understood that he was also decorated like the gopis, with lotuses on his ears, curly locks on his cheeks, and perspiration sparkling on his face. Krishna himself had to place the lotuses on the Vraj Sundari's ears. Krishna himself had placed the lotuses in the Vraj Sundari's ears. In this Ras festival, the bees had taken the position of singers, and marvelously they sang songs appropriate for Ras Leela. All the rest has been explained by Srila Śrīdhara Samipad. The gopis' bracelets, waist bells, and anklets were ringing, sounding like instruments, and the humming of the bees also made the same sounds. This combination created a tumultuous vibration. All these sounds were favorable for the dancing. As soon as all the Gandharvas, Kinnaras, and other demigods saw us dance, they also became inspired to dance. Verse 3 of this chapter mentions the demigods with the word Divokasam. But in the present verse, although not mentioned, Kinnaras, Gandharvas, etc. are understood to be present. Intoxicated in bliss, they were trying to play musical instruments, but actually, in this Ras Leela, the gopis did not need any accompaniment. Srila Viśvanātha Cakravartī Thakur's Sārārtha Darśinī. The excellence of the singing and dancing has been described in many previous verses. Now, the present verse, Karnotpalalaka, depicts how the Vraj Sundaris dancing augmented the effulgence of their faces to the fullest extent. The word Utpala implies the presence of a round ornament on the upper part of the ear. Their cheeks were decorated with curly locks, and their lotus faces were perspiring from the labor of dancing. And this heightens their superbly beautiful appearance. With the movement of their dancing limbs, their bracelets, anklets, and waist bells were chiming, thus keeping the rhythm of the dancing. Drums, flutes, and other instruments sounded by themselves in time with the chiming sound. The presiding deities of these instruments appeared there and sang in great bliss, thus making their lives successful. Whoa. The presiding deity of different drums, the presiding deities of the flutes, and all the different instruments, they all appeared there. It's kind of cool that there's a presiding deity for all the instruments. The Vraj Devis were dancing with the same dexterity as Krishna, Samam Bhagavata. They became helplessly overwhelmed from the joy of dancing with him. Their heads were shaking in unison with the rhythm of the movements of their feet, and the flower garlands tucked in their hair buns started falling. It seems like the flowers, in appreciation of the gopis' skillful dancing, were happily falling on the lotus feet of Krishna, who was dancing next to them. Śrīdhara Swāmīpāda has also said this. Many bees also came there, attracted by the fragrance of these cascading flowers, and with their natural humming, became singers in this dance festival. That would that would be interesting. The bees sounded like kazoos. Yeah, because they were singing, it seems like they were singing melodies also. And so that would make sense. Evam Parishvanga. Well, actually, did it mention this? Yeah, it did. Anyways. Evam Parishvanga Karam Pimarsha Snigdekshano Dama Vilasahasai Reme Ramesho Vrajasundari Bhir Yatarbhakasva Pratibimba Vibhrama. Ramapati Sri Krishna, the master of the goddess of fortune, danced with the beautiful Vraj maidens, embracing them, holding their hands, casting love-filled glances, smiling, and enjoying carefree amorous play with them, just as a child plays with his own shadow. Śrīla Śrīdhara Swāmīpāda Bhāvārtha Dīpikā. The gopis were playing various amorous games with Sri Krishna, who was mutually enjoying with them, but their romantic actions could not subdue him. This is the meaning of this verse starting with Evam. An example is given in this regard. Krishna was engaged in dallying with the Vraj maidens, his own potencies, just as a child plays with his own reflection. This shows that Sri Krishna transmitted his entire dexterity, aroma, extreme beauty, and sweetness to the Vraj Devis, and enjoyed with them. Srila Jīva Gosvāmī Vaiṣṇava Toṣaṇī. Evam, the gopis were engaged in amorous play, displaying various inviting gestures, and Sri Krishna was reciprocating appropriately. The present compares Sri Krishna's play with his gopis, who are his own potencies, to a small boy, Yatarbhaka, who plays with his own shadow. Krishna and the gopis, who are like to Krishna and gopis, who are likened to his shadow, were copying each other's playful activities. Krishna, like a wonder-struck boy, has a tendency for amorous affairs, and the result of this is the advent of this Rāsa-līla, comprised of beautiful romantic exchanges. It seems as if the portion of Śrīdhara Swāmīpāda's commentary saying that the gopis' romantic actions would not subdue Krishna is not part of his original exposition. Someone else added it later on. That's interesting. And obviously, Jīva Gosvāmī does not agree with that. The gopis' romantic actions could not subdue Krishna. No, they could definitely subdue Krishna. This example of the child amusing himself with his shadow makes it clear that it is the gopis only who bring out his qualities. A boy can see and experience the beauty of his own face in a reflection. Wait, what? Let me reread that. A boy can see and experience the beauty of own face in a reflection, not on his own. Okay. Yeah. So it is to be understood that Krishna also exhibits and relishes his sweetness through his beloveds. Yeah, like you need a mirror. So the gopis, Krishna relishes his sweetness through his beloveds. Okay. It is not possible for his sweetness to manifest without the love-filled attitude of the gopis, whose faces reflect his extreme sweetness. Ramesha. He is the master, Isha, of Lakshmi, Rama, but he enjoyed with the Vraj Sundaris in an excellent, unparalleled way. He did not do this with Lakshmi Devi. This means that the beauty, qualities, and the love of the Vraj damsels are greater than hers. Sri Krishna is the master of Lakshmi Devi, but he does not perform romantic activities with her. Shukadeva Goswami relates this with great surprise in this verse, Evam. Just as a child plays with his action, so pratibimba vibhrama, so Ramapati Krishna also plays with the gopis, embracing them, freely caressing their breasts and thighs, sending them love-filled glances, and communicating his loving emotions through his smiles. One second. Krishna and the gopis share the same excellent qualities and mutual attachment. This is shown in the example Swapratimba Vibhrama. Just as a child naturally feels happy when he plays with his own reflection, Krishna is similarly absorbed with great love and enjoying with the gopis because they are his Swarup Shakti, his own reflections. With this intention, they were previously called Krishna Vadhu and not Gopa Vadhu. Brahma Samhita 537 states, Shri Govinda, who is all-pervading and who exists within the hearts of all, resides in his Goloka Dham along with Shri Radha, who is the embodiment of his pleasure potency and the counterpart of his own spiritual form. She is the epitome of transcendental ras and is expert in 64 arts. They are also accompanied by the Sakis, who are expansions of Shri Radha's own transcendental body and who are infused with blissful spiritual ras. I worship that original personality, Shri Govinda. Krishna's various gestures are copied by the gopis, who serve as his reflections, and in this way, with great attachment, they play with each other. The word snigdha, affection, indicates the gopis and Krishna's profound attachment for each other. Sri Parashar Muni has explained this sattvic anubhav of Krishna in this way. Due to touching the gopis' cheeks with his hands, Krishna's hairs stand on end, and drops of perspiration appear, evoking the image of a cloud releasing raindrops, his perspiration, on the grass, his hairs standing on end. Whoa. Let me reread that. Due to the touching of the gopis' cheeks with his hands, Krishna's hairs stand on end, and drops of perspiration appear, evoking the image of a cloud releasing raindrops on grass. It says perspiration on his hair standing on end. The Viśvanātha Cakravartī Thakur's Sārārtha Darśinī. Krishna experienced the amorous pleasure to the fullest extent by engaging in all the various activities of the ras, like dancing and singing. The word parishvanga, embracing, shows that he embraced each gopi while dancing. Krishna tasted a vast variety of amorous pleasure in close contact with the gopis. Karabhimarsha, touching with his hand, indicates that he touched the left breast with his right hand to mark the rhythm at the end of each song. In between dances, he lovingly gazed, snigdekshana, at the cleavage of their breasts. Udhama vilas, he rewarded them with his kisses. Hasa, his face bloomed with a broad smile, showing his contentment in having fully enjoyed many amorous activities with the gopis. Ramesha is Lakshmipati. Ramesha is Lakshmipati, the husband of the goddess of fortune. Krishna displays his majesty with Lakshmi, but partakes of amorous pleasure with the Vraj Devis, not with Rama. Bhagavan Shri Krishna's amorous sporting with the gopis is like the play of a baby with his shadow. Just as a child becomes enchanted by cavorting with his shadow, similarly, Krishna was playing with the gopis, overpowered by their love. One might raise the question, how could Krishna frolic with unlimited gopis at one time? These sweet romantic dealings with the Vraj maidens exhibit the utmost opulence, but this is not like his majestic behavior with Ramadevi. The fact is that each gopi is a counterpart of his Swarup, his own form. This is the significance of Yatha Swapratibimba. Yatha means like, Swa means his own, and Pratibimba means form. So like his own form. The meaning of Bimba or Swarup is derived from the conversation between. Pratibimba means reflection, doesn't it? That's how I've always understood Pratibimba. Anyways, the meaning of Bimba or Swarup is derived from the conversation between Uddhav and Vidura in Srimad Bhagavatam 3-11. Sri Krishna descended to earth in his eternal form, Svabimba, and was visible to everyone, even to those who had not performed any penances. Now he has disappeared from sight without satisfying our hankering for him. Interesting. These gopis are expansions of Krishna's pleasure potency, Ladini Shakti, which is an integral part of his own internal potency, his Sarup Shakti. All the cowherd maidens are reflections of his Sarup for the purpose of giving him pleasure. This Śrīla is the exhibition of his deriving joy from his own reflections, Atma Bhuta. This is the accurate explanation of Swapratibimba. It is not actually correct to say his own shadow. It's his own reflections. Cool. Taranga Sangha Pramuda Kulendriya Keshandukulam Kuchapattikamba Keshandukulam Kuchapattikamba. Oh, it looks like there's a word missing. Nanja Prati Vyodum Alam Vrajas. No. Taranga Sangha Pramuda Kulendriya Keshandukulam Kuchapattikam Vasai Nanja Prati Vyodum Alam Vrajastriyo Visrastamala Parana Gurudvaha. O Parikshit, due to the gopis' intimate association with Krishna, their senses were overwhelmed in bliss. The flower garlands around their necks broke and fell down. Their ornaments went topsy-turvy. Their hair became disheveled, and they were unable to keep their veils and blouses in place. Śrīla Swāmīpad's Bhāvārtha Dīpikā. One second. After this, the Vraj Sundaris became agitated by Krishna's amorous play. This is described in this verse, Tad Anga. The gopis became totally helpless as a result of the extreme bliss arising from having Krishna's intimate association. Their hair became disheveled, their dresses and cloth covering their breasts came loose, and they were unable to hold on to them. Their garlands and ornaments were also thrown into disorder. Śrīla Jīva Gosvāmī Vaiṣṇava Toṣaṇī. The gopis fell into a state of helplessness due to experiencing extreme bliss, and the Ras dance came to a halt. This is the subject matter of this verse starting with Tad Anga. Because of their close contact with Sri Krishna, the gopis' joy came to a climax, resulting in a dysfunctioning of their senses, symptomized by loosening of hair and inability to keep their veils and cloth covering their breasts in place. Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Sārārtha Darśinī. After this, the gopis became completely overwhelmed with the bliss they were derived by getting Bhagavan's close association. This is described in the present verse, Tad Anga Sangha. They became so agitated with unprecedented ecstasy that they were unable to keep the cloth covering their breasts in place. Okay, in verse 18, we're ending with this. Krishna vikriditam viksha mumuhu kecharastriya kamardita shashankascha sagano vismito bhavat. When the heavenly damsels sitting in their planes in the sky witnessed Bhagavan Shri Krishna's Ras Krida, they became agitated with desire to meet him. The moon was also astonished, along with the stars and other planets. Śrīla Śrīdhara Bhāvārtha Dīpikā. The present verse, Krishna Vikridita, says, not only the Vraj Sundaris were agitated, the wives of the demigods were also smitten by lust. The moon and his consorts, the stars, were also bewildered and stopped in their tracks. The planets like Jupiter and Venus, which are more ancient than Chandra, also stopped moving and remained where they were. In this way, the night became very long, and Sri Krishna enjoyed his amorous play in great happiness. One second. Śrīla Jīva Gosvāmī Pad's Vaiṣṇava Toṣaṇī. Shri Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan, so he is endowed with sweetness and other attributes to the fullest extent. And the word vikriditam, V means special, and kriditam means play. Watching Viksha, this very special pleasurable pastime, the heavenly damsels became excited by amorous desire and felt anxious to be with Krishna. They were enchanted by observing how the gopis rendered direct service with intense love. First of all, the demigoddesses forgot their own lack of qualification to attain Krishna, and secondly, becoming bewildered, they lost awareness of their own bodies. The rest is according to Sri Swāmī Pad's commentary, in which he affirms that Krishna enjoyed happily in that very long night. It is not possible to perform various types of pleasurable pastimes in a short night. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:33-38 also states, Brahma Ratra Upavrite. This means that the night became equal to 1,000 Chaturyugas, 4 ages, according to the time scale of Brahma. Whoa, 1,000 Chaturyugas, that's I can't even imagine how long that is. At the end of this long night, upon Krishna's insistence, the gopis returned to their homes. This became possible because Yogamaya, Bhagavan's potency, reconciled unlimited incongruous actions. Śrīdhara Swāmī Pad has stated that the moon and other planets were so astonished that they became stunned. This is an assumption because the movements of the moon, etc., are governed by the laws of astronomical science, so they slowed down in these unusual circumstances and moved in an opposite direction. In fact, Yamuna and other rivers stopped flowing and sometimes flowed backwards in order to facilitate the sweetness of Krishna's Leela. In the same way, the circular movements of the planets stopped. Here, many nights are indicated. The word Tāratri, those nights, in chapter 29, verse 1, and Nisha, many nights, in verse 25 of this chapter, also indicates that the night was very, very long. So the reconciliation is that although the night progressed, one night stretched on interminably. I don't know this word. Interminably. That means endless. Oh, okay. Terminably. Interminably. Sorry. I get it now. Terminably. Got it. It is said that the heavenly damsels became helplessly attracted to Krishna. This shows the supreme charm of the amorous play of the Ras Leela. This is justified because all the ecstatic emotions escalated to the supermost limit in the dancing and singing with Krishna, and Ras itself was controlling the whole event. The most fortunate Vraj Sundaris exhibited great dexterity in their romantic sporting. Even Lakshmi rarely achieves such fortune. In the present verse, the word kamardita, agitated by lusty desires in the plural, is used. But in other places, kamardita, singular, is seen. However, Śrīdhara Swāmī Pad does not approve this. The phrase devastriya, ke charastriya, means many demigoddesses. Many demigoddesses who are all aroused with loving feelings for Krishna. Thus, kamardita is the plural. Thus, karmardita is the plural. I don't know why I said is. Thus, karmardita in the plural is justified in this case, but karmadita is correct in regard to the moon. Okay, one with a long a, karmarditaha, but karmarditaha is correct in regard to the moon. Okay, we're at the ends now. Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhakur's Sārārtha Darśinī. The demigoddesses became lusty for Krishna after observing his amorous play. The singular form Kamarditaha indicates that the moon assumed a feminine mood and also experienced lust after watching Krishna's Raslila, because no male is allowed to witness the bodies of the Vraj Sundaris and their amorous play in this pastime. It is for this reason that only it is for this reason only that Yogamaya covered the sight of the demigods. This has already been told earlier. Okay, so from tomorrow we'll read from verse 19. Bhagavan Shri Krishna is Atmaram, self-satisfied, yet he expanded himself as many forms as there were gopis, in order to enjoy with each and every one of them. We'll continue reading from that point on tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Jai Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandhar Vikagiri Dhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Gosai Maharaj Shila Guru Dev Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shata Shishmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shata Shishmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitya Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Srila Goksharas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitya Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Nitya Pravishta Vaiṣṇava Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Anuga Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Shri Jīva Gopala Bhattadash Raghunath Shar Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanantari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai. Nama Acharya Śrīla Haridas Ṭhākura Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुर वृंदावन धाम की जाय सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदात गिरिराज महाराज की जाय श्री राधा कुंद श्याम कुंद की जाय श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जाय श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जाय श्री भक्ति देवी की जाय श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाया की जाय श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जाय श्री कात्यायनी व्रत की जय सर्वव्रज देवी गण की जय श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जय श्री हरिनाम श्री ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय रस-पाñcādhyāyī की जय रासेश्वरी श्री विश्वभानुनंदिनी श्रीमती राधा ठाकुरानी की जय हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल वृंदाय तुलसी देवाय प्रियाय केशवाशाचार्य कृष्ण भक्ति प्रददेवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः पंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो namo नमः. Dandavat pranam everybody. So yeah, today is the first day of Katyayani Vrat, which we already read about previously. But maybe when we finish reading about this Raslila, since this Katyayani Vrat goes on for a month, so we have a month to read about it, maybe we could read from Ananda Vrindavan Champu about Katyayani Vrat. Or also maybe Gopal Champu. Maybe we could read both. That would be kind of nice. All right. Hari Bol, Dhira Mataji. All right. See you all tomorrow. Also, yeah. See you all tomorrow. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, everybody.